How in the world can I eat this and look like this? Oh, Merry Christmas. How in the world can I get through the holidays without gaining a ton of weight? So this is a follow-up video to the first one where we talk about the mindset. I'm going to share some practical tips with you. So tip number one, from my own experience and from all sorts of research, the greatest thing I would say potentially that you could do is don't change and disrupt your schedule too much. Sometimes the tendency is to go to bed late and to get up late. That totally messes with your normal circadian rhythms, and your cortisol levels, corticotropin, stress levels go through the roof. And what the research actually shows, particularly with losing weight, is that sleep is actually more important than your diet. Sleep is more important than your diet. That may be something new to some of you, but sleep is so important. Even 15 to 20 minutes of a change in quality REM type of sleep, as well as volume, will absolutely affect your hormones, your metabolism, and even your mood, and everything else is a downturn. So I would stress. Try to keep your same sleep schedule. It makes such a huge difference. From my own experience, it makes a huge difference when I go to bed even 30 minutes later than I should. And I feel so much more energy. So that's number one. Number two is time it when you're going to eat your sweets and your sort of high glycemic carbs. I like to do them in one specific meal. Often doing them after a large meal is tremendously helpful for one or two things. It's going to slow your insulin levels. Your insulin levels won't spike like they will if you eat it in between meals. What tends to happen is we just snack a ton. I snack a ton too, particularly on food that may not be the best quality for you. So often trying to minimize the snacking and eat it after a large meal will help tremendously. Number three, what I would say is eat some fat before you have your big meal. It sounds crazy and counterintuitive, but actually it absorbs the starches and you have much less of a spike in insulin. What it actually does is contracts your pyloric sphincter, which is the top of your stomach, and it makes it so that it takes much longer for that food to go through your system. So eating fats at the time or right before you have your high glycemic carbs helps tremendously. The fourth thing I would say is increase your fluid intake and your greens intake. Often just drinking more fluid alone will actually flush that stuff out of your system, particularly when you eat all these carbs. It actually helps minimize insulin. It's all about insulin. It's really not about the carbohydrates. It is about your insulin sensitivity. It's not even eating the carbohydrates, but if you're very insulin insensitive, that's when you run into potential trouble by eating high glycemic carbs. So drinking a lot of water and greens, increase your greens intake at every meal. Have an extra serving of vegetables. That alone will do wonders for the oxidative stress level in your body. And the last thing I would say is do what you can to de-stress. The holidays are supposed to actually de-stress us, but sometimes they increase our stress. And the one of the things I love is exercise in the morning. If you're exercising in the morning, not only is it helping boost your energy and your natural endorphin endocannabinoids, and you feel amazing, but it gets your day set right. And the activity actually helps, again, your insulin sensitivity. It's all about insulin sensitivity. So those are the tips I have for you. Have an amazing Christmas. You absolutely can eat sweets and carbs and not gain any weight and even lose weight if you do it correctly and appropriately and at the right time. Nathan Clark, ChooseAmazingLife.com. Train your mind, transform your body.